Today, on behalf of Math Kangaroo, we are pleased to have Tiger Zhang, a 16-year-old senior from Sierra Canyon School in California. Tiger is deeply passionate about math and has earned a prestigious gold medal in the USA Math Olympia 2024. His love for math extends beyond competitions, as he constantly seeks new challenges and opportunities to deepen his understanding of math. Whether solving complex problems or mentoring peers, Tiger's dedication to math is unwavering. Outside of math, he enjoys playing the piano and exploring other interests. But math remains his primary focus and greatest passion. We are honored to have him here today to share his journey and insights with us. Welcome, Tiger. So we are so happy for you, and we are also fortunate to know you since you were very little. We know that you started to participate in our Math Kangaroo competitions when you were in your elementary school. So today we would like to ask you some questions. We would like you to tell us more about your childhood memories, how you started your math journey, and your other hobbies. Would you like to first start with tell us a little bit what initially sparked your interest in math?
Yeah, sure. So I actually don't remember, I don't think there's any specific thing that just built my interest in math immediately. It was like, I guess it was always there. But one early memory I can talk about is like one day when I was just writing a bunch of perfect squares, like perfect squares from 1 to 100, like 1 squared to 100 squared. And I was just trying to find patterns. And I ended up writing this like really huge list of squares. And I guess it was just one instance of like me actually realizing that I really liked looking at numbers and looking at patterns and stuff. And I guess this just continued all the way through my math career.
Wow. So you started wondering about the squares since you were little. Do you still remember the age approximately?
Um, Not really. It's like before elementary school, I think.
Even before, so probably before kindergarten.
Probably around that time.
Oh, cool. Wow. Um, in, in that case, would you like to also introduce your parents?
Yeah, so they actually don't do anything related to STEM. So they kind of just let me do whatever I wanted in math without really like being involved in it. And I think that was good because in the end they like never pushed me for competitions or anything. They just like let me enjoy math as I saw fit.
Wow, that's very cool. So let's say your parents discovered that you really love math. For example, the example that you were sharing with us, right? The square thing. What did they actually do? Do you remember some of the words that they talked to you about, or some lessons did they send you to, or anything?
Yeah, so one thing they did was they bought a lot of math books for me, like the Art of Problem Solving books, all that. And they also sent me to the UCLA Math Circle, which is where I first discovered Math Kangaroo. And also, they just did a lot of other things like let me read my own math books during math class in like uh, or fourth to sixth grade and stuff like that.
Okay, I see. So because Math Kangaroo is probably very appropriate for younger, lower level elementary school. I would like to ask you, like, do you still remember in the old days when you were little? I believe probably arts or problem solving will be too hard back then, right? So do you remember what things you have done when you were in lower grades in the elementary school?
So for Math Kangaroo, I don't actually remember studying too much for it. I think I just did the normal like math circle classes, and then like I kind of treated the Math Kangaroo problems as like logic puzzles, kind of. And like in fourth grade was when I really started like doing math that's like kind of a lot above school level, and like the kind of math that's not really taught in school even at higher grades. Like I started reading all the ALPS books and stuff like that.
Wow, that's very cool. So you probably know this. Math Kangaroo questions often require deeper thinking and logical reasoning. And if you can still recall, how did those experiences open the door to your interest in your math journey?
Um, so first I think it was like my first exposure to math, that's like um not just formulaic, that actually requires uh like an amount of creativity at every step. And I think that just made me a lot more interested for like the world of competition math and uh like everything that like has a challenge. And I think one of the effects of Math Kangaroo is actually like a good while after I took the first uh few tests, which is when I kind of like discovered that these problems, they aren't too hard, but I think that's actually what makes them really difficult to create, and that's what makes like the setups of some of these problems like really cool. And it's like you can't add too much math theory because this Math Kangaroo never required much actual theory. And it's basically a question of like, how do you how do you like use very simple things in unexpected ways? And I think that kind of reasoning really got me interested in things like problem writing and all that stuff.
Wow, that's really wonderful to hear. You know, as an instructor who teaches webinar or group lessons for Math Kangaroo, I know part of the our lesson plan as an instructor is trying to ask or encourage students to create their own problem. And this is probably not known to everyone who is participating in Math Kangaroo, but I think this is really important and also higher level in terms of the uh, order of learning, you know. So I'm so glad to hear that you started to discover this when you participated in several years of Math Kangaroo competition. I believe you have learned so much about this critical thinking and also from the other side of the story, right? How to craft a great problem or puzzle that requires logical reasoning, right? Those kind of things. That's really wonderful to hear. If you don't mind, I would like to jump back to your parents a little bit. You previously mentioned that they don't really have a STEM background, but they kind of like fully support you. Probably because they are not really expertise. That's not their expertise, right? So they feel like, oh, you do whatever you like. I try to buy all the books that you like. So specifically speaking, when you grew up, let's say they discovered that you like math, did they take you to the bookstore, let you pick, or did they just like force you? Okay, this is a pile of math book. Just go read and go do the puzzles. What is it like?
Uh, so I could actually, yeah, I did actually like choose which books specifically interested me. I think there was always sense of there was always a sense like guidance, as in like they did know like which books would probably be more efficient for improving at what I wanted to improve on. And I think that was like not necessarily my choice, but I think I just ended up enjoying these books because they were both fun and also helped me improve.
That says your parents are really wise. They know kind of like your interests, also your capability, and choose appropriate books for you. That's great to hear. Okay, so we heard you participated in our Math Kangaroo competition at the beginning, and then later you continue the journey like also problem solving, right, and other math competitions. Would you like to share some of the let's say, any interesting stories or memorable experience from participating in all these math competitions?
Yeah, there are a lot of stories that I can talk about, but they're like pretty specific to like the groups of people that I ended up being in a team with and all of these math competitions and stuff. Think I can only talk in generalities, which is like the some of the events that really inspired me were the 3 times I participated in the Math Olympiad program from 2022 to 2024. And each time, I think it was a great experience of like um, meeting with people who had a similar interest in math, who also did a lot of math every day. And somehow these experiences has like changed my perspective every time. And I'm not sure why. I think it's probably because we kind of had the free time to do a lot of our own activities, and it was up to us to like enjoy the time the most. And I think that was like really inspiring.
We would like to hear like what specific things that inspired you. Would you like to elaborate a little bit more?
Um,
You don't have to reveal the name, you can keep the person like anonymous, but like what things sparkled or inspired you most?
yeah, so one of the things that I guess Mop kind of has a kind of tradition with is like the all-nighters at the end of every camp. And MOP means Math Olympiad program. Um, so during these all-nighters, like usually what would happen is we would mostly be confined to our dorm unless there are like some staff or some TAs that would go out with us to wherever we wanted to go. And in 2023, I started uh, a tradition of like, there are only like a few hours left before MOP ends. So why don't I just write a list of people that I wanted to go out on walks with and then like actually have conversations with them. I think that was like when I actually started to realize just how much time there actually was at MOP. And if I had just started this even earlier, then I could have gotten a lot more out of it.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, we heard the things that inspire you, motivate you. Is there any person in the whole experience, from Math Kangaroo until all the way until you win the gold medal at IMO? Is there any particular person that you want to really deeply appreciate too?
Um, Not sure if there's any individual person. I think just the people at MOP and the people in the math community have inspired me a lot. And since my first MOP, I've like turned math from kind of mostly a solitary activity to also something I can do with a bunch of friends. I think that was a pretty big change.
Let's see. So math, when you were little, you probably enjoyed solving the puzzles independently on your own. And later, as you join math circles, math clubs at different places, also when you go to the math camps, you realize, wow, there's a crowd of people who are like me, right? So then you find this joy of doing the math. It's kind of like doing the thing with the people you like, and you hang out with each other and you enjoy doing even more. Is that the case?
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's something to like doing math as a group that I find really special. I think it's just everyone's energy and everyone's different perspectives on problems. And you can learn a lot by looking at how other people solve problems.
By sharing each other's different perspective, you also learn from each other and grow together, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's very nice to know. So we all know math competitions can be fun, like Math Kangaroo, but can also be very challenging to some students or at some occasions. So definitely, I believe there are some difficult moments. Can you share some of the biggest challenge you faced along the way and how you overcame them?
Mm, I think I was lucky in that I never had any major challenges in my math career. Uh, I think one thing that I've always kind of thought about and tried to change was like the mindset to which I approached math competitions in general. And I kind of just realized that sometimes you win in math competitions, sometimes you lose. And I guess the amount of times where you win or lose, it's gonna be like the same for everyone. Has like everyone wins in math competitions and everyone loses. And I think in the end, I just realized after like doing a lot of math competitions and winning some and losing some and that not really having a total like an effect on my life, I kind of just realized that the results really don't matter. What's going to occupy like 360 of your 365 days per year is actually working toward these goals. And whether you achieve them or not, it doesn't really matter as much as you might think, even if you are aiming for these goals the whole year. And because these goals are only like a few days out of all of your life. And I think it's just much better to think about you're aiming for some kind of target, but really the target is imaginary. And what really happens is that your arrow lands somewhere else, and that's really what matters.
When did you discover this?
Um, this I've kind of just discovered this throughout my math career. The one time I
Like
can point,
senior, I mean, high school age or middle school or even elementary school?
yeah, so I think it's just something I realized more and more of over time.
Oh, I
I
see.
think one time when I realized, and I just started realizing a lot of it was like the end of 10th grade when I after I took a bunch of team selection tests for the IMO, and that year I didn't make it in. And I was thinking, like, sure, I didn't make it into the IMO, but like, where am I now? And how different is this from where I was before? And really, how much more math was I able to enjoy this whole year? And I realized that was what matters.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, really glad to hear that these words are coming from 16-year-old. I believe this failure to make it to the IMO team actually make you a stronger person nowadays, right? So really appreciate you sharing this with us. So you have mentioned that you discovered that every day of your life actually matters, as well as, whether you achieve your goal or not. So would you like to talk about your spare time? In your spare time, what do you do? I know you are also a very good piano player. So other than that, or even including music, we would like to know more about you.
Yeah, so yeah, I sometimes play the piano, and also I sometimes write in a blog that I have on the art of problem solving, and I also create problems as well.
For the music part, probably you are downplaying here the role of music in your life. Would you like to talk more about it? Like, uh, since when you started playing piano? Do you enjoy it? Do you also go to competitions?
Um, yeah, so I started playing piano when I was 5, and I've kind of ever since then, I've kind of seen music as like a search for beauty, which I find really important and which I really like. And yeah, I have done competitions, but I guess like they're not really the most important part other than just like the days of like me trying to use music to relax and as a form of like beauty and all that.
Oh, I see. How about the other activities? How do you make a trade-off? Here's the math, here's the music, here's the other things. How do you make a choice on your daily basis?
Yeah, so I kind of have a philosophy, and I'm I'm not sure if this is going to be true, but I think it's a good thing to believe in, which is that if you set your priorities right, you never like don't have time for something. And what this means is like if you're doing something all the time and you still have things left over that you don't want to do, think it's just time to like stop doing something, cutting out something that you find less important. And I think that's something that we really should think about, like what kind of things we can cut out for our lives. But other than that, there are like 13 hours in a day where we can like do stuff. And sure, maybe some of this time will be filled by school and other things, but then there are still many hours, all of which we can use wisely, and sometimes we're not necessarily using to the best of our ability.
See. So would you like to share your priority list? Is it, I guess, math is definitely the first one. Music maybe the second, maybe the other things. What are the top three
Yeah,
for you?
I think right now I would kind of put everything in the same category, like all the things that I said before, math, music, writing, creating problems. I think they're all in the same category because
That's
maybe
what you
I'm
love,
more,
right?
yeah, maybe I'm more serious about some compared to others, but I like all of them. And I think if I do end up spending way too much time on one thing in a day, it's like there are diminishing returns, and it's pretty good to like spend some time on everything every day so that you don't feel like your life is just doing one thing.
Oh, you are such a rational thinker because you are talking about diminishing returns, right? So I believe Many students hearing your talk will be fearing, oh, I'm so inspired. But I also would like to ask from some other perspective, like since now you have won the gold medal, it's kind of like a really hard to achieve for many students. For some students, they may like something else, or their attention might be shifted away because, you know, very often people who are in the middle school and high school, they have high pressure, right? Like nowadays, you are in the 12th grade. You need to apply for a lot of college admissions, send applications by the deadline, and there are many, many homework, many other things that you have to excel in. So for those people who have perfectionism, or those people who have addiction to maybe games or anything else, maybe they are so stressful just because they are highly pressured. For those people, do you have any advice to them?
Um, yeah, I think when you do have a lot of things to do, it's not actually that necessary to spend that much like time on anything you want to do, like math or whatever else. I think in these kinds of instances, spending more energy is more important than time. What I mean is like during most of 11th grade and really 10th grade as well, I did about an hour of math per day, like actively. And this is like a big contrast to like ninth grade and maybe a bit before where I did like 2 to 3 hours a lot of the times. And even though I only did like an hour, I still felt a decent amount of improvement and definitely like on par with what how much I improved in ninth grade. And I think that was because of just spending not necessarily time but energy into math. And that like I would just think about math whenever like there wasn't something to do and I could just keep a problem in my head and then I would think about it. Like even when I was trying to sleep, for example, like in the car or whatever.
It's kind of like, okay, the problem, as long as it's a problem to me, I need to solve it, right? I
Yeah,
can't let a problem stay like that as unsolved.
yeah.
Oh, cool. Cool. Thank you for sharing. Very inspiring. Um, so we talked about advice to your peers. Since Math Kangaroo also draws a lot of attention in elementary kids, like younger kids, do you have any advice for them? What advice would you like to give the younger students who are just starting their math journeys?
Yeah, so I think the one piece of advice above like everything about how to study math and strategy and all that is that make sure you're thinking about why you're doing math and whether you like it. Because I think a lot of the times we don't actually think that much about what we do. And certainly when I was younger, I didn't think that much about why I did math. I was just like, I kind of liked it. So I
Follow
did,
your heart is like, okay, I feel like doing this thing, so I just continue the journey like that.
yeah. And I think is this was actually good for me that was able to I was lucky enough to be able to find a hobby that I didn't have to explain why I did it. But a lot of the times, like, you do have to explain why you're doing something. And sometimes it's just like because of external factors that are not like purely liking the subject. And in that case, I think you could probably should like try to like math and try to see the places where math is like really interesting and fun. But if that doesn't work for you, then I would definitely suggest to try other things as well because you really don't want to get stuck on doing one thing for like the next however many years if you don't really like it.
And this is probably a very good tip for many parents. Okay, so now we've talked about your journey from Math Kangaroo up all the way up until you got the gold medal. We also talk about how you overcome the failure, like the first year you didn't make it to the team, right? So now looking forward, what are your plans for the college?
Yeah, for college, I think I'm going to major in math. But other than that, there's a lot of things I can do. I probably want to consider doing continuing in math, like doing research and other things like that. But I think college will be a good place to explore like what I can do and what I want to do. So I'm not necessarily going to try to make any decision now.
And when you are talking about math, you mean pure math?
Most likely.
So we also know that you like math and music. Have you ever thought about um, maybe choosing a double major? How do you see yourself integrate your love for both math and music into your future career?
Yeah, so I think I really like music, but I'm also not sure about doing it like very seriously because that requires like even things like performing, I still am really nervous about it. And I'm not necessarily like, I don't necessarily want to continue this, but I do want to just uh, be able to play music and be able to enjoy it and like learn new fun pieces that I can just play to myself for other people and have all of us enjoy it. And I don't think I can really connect music to math in that way. It'll just be a part of my life, like on the side, if I want to relax or if I suddenly have the urge to listen to a beautiful melody, then you can think about music.
So music is more of like relaxing or comforting to you while you are pursuing your pure passion for math, right?
Yeah,
Okay, very cool. Well, thank you so much for today's interview with us. We are so fortunate to have you, and we believe this is going to be beneficial to a lot of young kids who are passionate about math when they are starting their Math Kangaroo journeys. So is it possible for you to show some of your medals that you've earned so that kind of like can be inspiring or motivating to them?
okay, sure.
Like medals or prizes from past competitions?
So I do have some Math Kangaroo medals for
Oh, you
uh
still keep them from the old days?
yeah that I participated in Math Kangaroo.
That's a lot of them. Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today. We wish you great success in your college applications, and we look forward to hearing good news from you. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.